thanks to whatever you consider that eternal energy that walks with us and from which we come and we return. So thank you for coming to this second in the annual Dancing in Mama's Kitchen. And we're going to have a lot of fun and share with each other. And I want to start out with an offering of thanks, which says that what God has done cannot be undone. Ishe Oluwa kole baje o. Ishe Oluwa kole baje o. Kole baje o. Kole baje o. Ishe Oluwa kole baje o. So I hope that was a blessing to you. We're here at Gemini Gardens, and it's auspicious that we're here on the first recognized by the federal government celebration of Juneteenth. As we dance in Mama's Kitchen, we're doing a Sankofa, which is to go back and fetch it. We're going for the resilience that our ancestors have survived on this land and within a system of systematic dehumanization of people. So we ask ourselves, how did they survive? What did they do to survive? And a lot of what Mama did, because we came here with nothing except our understanding and ancestral memories, and that is what kept us going. So these are think about it, thinking of those people, how hard it is today, and how we just want to be inside, right? Somewhere it's cool. How did our ancestors survive that? What informed them and what was their resilience? So we have a field holler. And whether we were dropped off in the Caribbean somewhere or we were on the mainland, we used those same strategies for survival. We would sing, field holler. So now, unfortunately, those of you who are here in the flesh can't see this, but our cyber people will see this, which is the SASA African Dance Theater Company performing their expressions of a field holler. And I want to tell you a little bit about SASA, African Dance Theater Company. They're a South Florida cultural arts collective dedicated to expressing the movements, music, and meaning of the African diaspora. So enjoy SASA Dance Company. Make me up wanna holler.
You got my letter? Oh yeah, hon. You got my letter? Oh yeah, hon. People keep a coming, but the train done gone. John was a writer? Oh yeah, hon. John was a writer? Oh yeah, hon. John was a writer? Oh yeah, hon. People keep a coming and the train done gone. Road to Revelation? Oh yeah, hon. Road to Revelation? Oh yeah, hon. Road to Revelation? Oh yeah, hon. You got my letter? Oh yeah, hon. You got my letter? Oh yeah, hon. People keep a coming and the train done gone. John was a writer? Oh yeah, hon. John was a writer? Oh yeah, hon. John was a writer? Oh yeah, hon. People keep a coming and the train done gone. Road to Revelation? Oh yeah, hon. Road to Revelation? Oh yeah, hon. Road to Revelation? Oh yeah, hon. You got my letter? Oh yeah, hon. People keep a coming and the train done gone. John was a writer? Oh yeah, hon. John was a writer? Oh yeah, hon. John was a writer? Oh yeah, hon. People keep a coming and the train done gone. Road to Revelation? Oh yeah, hon. Road to Revelation? Oh yeah, hon. Road to Revelation? Oh yeah, hon. People keep a coming and the train done gone. You got my letter? Oh yeah, hon. You got my letter? Oh yeah, hon. You got my letter? Oh yeah, hon.
Yeah, I woke up this morning.
Sun was shining down.
Yeah, I woke up this morning.
Sun was shining down.
Yeah, I woke up this morning.
Sun was shining down.
Sun, 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 sun was shining down. I can smell the greens are cooking.
Lord, it smells so good.
I can smell the greens are cooking.
Lord, it smells so good.
I can smell them greens are cooking.
Lord, it smells so good.
Lord, 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 it smells so good. I've been thinking about my baby.
Baby's on my mind.
I've been thinking about my baby.
Baby's on my mind.
I've been thinking about my baby.
Baby's on my mind.
Baby, 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 baby's on my mind. We've been working since this morning.
Time is passing by.
We've been working since this morning.
Time is passing by.
We've been working since this morning.
And the time is passing by.
Time, 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 time is passing by. Time, 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 time is passing by. Ooh, Lord, this gonna get about right here.
Okay. Thank you for being so patient. I know this is kind of weird. We're still halfway in cyberspace and halfway live, but you will be able to see the whole thing. We'll upload it on a platform so you can get the connections. So we're traveling through a landscape of resistance, and now we're in the belly of the beast. And what came with us were traditions, as I said before, and the gourd is such an integral part of how we expressed ourselves. The gourd was part of our healing, and it was part of Mama's kitchen. So it was medicine, it was food, and it became part of the orchestra of the people who were brought here and enslaved. So there were the banjos, the bamboo fifes, and the rattling drums. And that ingenuity shows up over and over again with us as a people. And it shows up in the voices of our grandmothers and mamas and aunties singing in the kitchen. So our aunties and mamas singing in the kitchen, you know, those songs, and each of us have an experience of that wherever we came from. So now Brother Eddie is going to give us some more information. Eddie Osborne. here is a nationally recognized lecturer on African retentions and especially on traditional instruments. So now, please help me in welcoming Eddie Osborne as his lecture demonstration.
Thank you, my sister. I hope everyone can hear me. You got my name, Eddie Osborne, and basically I craft African-derived musical instruments, and I do a few other things. And you probably know that that blue color attracts haints, or what you'd call in the islands, duppies, or what's another word? Jumbies in certain islands. So the haints were attracted to this blue colored bottles, and they would go inside, and once inside, they couldn't come out. Okay? The bottle trees were planted along and around things that were being grown, vegetables and fruits, whatever. So people who saw the bottle tree knew not to bother, okay? Not to take anything. So that was basically the use of the bottle tree. Now I'm going to go to the gourd, which, excuse me, is not to be confused with another item called a calabash. Calabash grows on a tree. Gourd grows on a vine. And here's an example of a gourd. This is a bushel type gourd, and it's related to pumpkin, watermelon, squash, that sort of thing. Cucumber grows on a vine. The gourd was used in Mama's kitchen to hold water. You could put water in it, keep it cold. You could slice one lengthwise and make a dipper. It's also used to make musical instruments. The banjo, here I have an instrument called a kunting, and a fellow from Senegal, from Casamance in Senegal, taught me how to make this instrument, which is a likely ancestor of the banjo. A kunting, E-K-O-N-T-I-N-G. And you'll see that it has a gourd resonator. Oh. This item is called jille. This is an item, this one was made in Ghana, but you'll see underneath this is a xylophone, gourd resonated xylophone. The gourds, as I said, are the resonators. Okay, that's the sound of the gourd resonated xylophone. How many of you recognize this one? Okay, made of gourd as well. And this is a gourd rasp. You know, some people call it weedle, others call it by other names. But that's the sound of the weedle. Now, I think I'm going to have to put the mic down for a second because I want to demonstrate some items, and I have to have free hands. Okay. How many of you recognize this one? Okay. This is gourd resonator, a shaft, and a bit of wire. With a playing stick, and in my pocket I should have something that's going to allow me, a stone, that's going to allow me to do something with it. Now, strike it with the stick. That's the sound of what's called the beating bow. It's a gourd resonated musical bow. When people did not have the gourd, they used a substitute, oftentimes something that came from Mama's kitchen. You can see that this is an item that would come from a kitchen, right? This had beans in it originally. This one is what we call in the States a gut bucket. Called gut bucket, called a gut bucket because in the South, people were forced to eat cast-offs and whatever they could get. So they would eat the intestines or the gut of a hog. They would clean the hog in this bucket, this big bucket. This is a small version. I couldn't bring the larger one, but they would clean clean the intestines. They call them chitlins. So they would clean the chitlins in that gut bucket, therefore the name gut bucket. But basically this was played, it was like a bass. That one you can't hear too well. Let me get a smaller version. This one had some beans in it, I believe, but miniaturized, abbreviated version of the gut bucket or washtub bass. Now, let me go back to the gourd. A gourd like this would be filled with water, and inside you would put bits of gourd, like so, in the water. You can't see that, but you might be able to hear it. Now, did you hear that? That's called, in Mali and in Guinea and other areas where they speak Mande languages like Bamanan or Bambara, as some people call it. Ji means water and Dunu means drum. So this is Ji Dunu. Ji Dunu. Okay. And I think I've exhausted the items that I have for display. I hope I made sense. I hope you came away with something. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry?
The first one, can you play that again? The first. Yeah.
The counting, I'm not, I'll let you play it. I want to attempt to play this one. No, I don't play this instrument. I know how to make it, but I don't play it. Counting, and it needs to be tuned a bit too. It's a bit flat. And I want to thank you for your attention. Enjoy the rest of Juneteenth.
Yes. So we've got a little bit of relief from the heat, and we're going to bring some more beautiful sounds on, and beautiful sister, Lorna Lesperance, who's an extraordinary artist, and her work on and off stage represent an ingenuity as a culture keeper and maker. And so she's a singer-songwriter, and she also does beautiful work with bottle art that you have to be just amazed when you see what she does with that work. I hope she will show it at some point. So please welcome Lorna Lesperance.
Humidity and guitars. Let's see. not so bad. Hello, everybody. Nice to be here. I was looking forward to this. This has been an amazing week with all kind of Mercury retrograde catastrophes. But I am grateful to be here, and I'm thankful to Ettosi for inviting me. Okay. Coconut woman is calling out, and every day you can hear her shout. Coconut woman is calling out, and every day you can hear her shout. Get your coconut water, it's good for your daughter. Cocoa got a lot of iron, make you strong like a lion. A woman told me the other day, she said no one can take a sweet man away. I asked her what is the remedy. She said coconut water and rice curry. Can cook it in the pot. You can serve it very hot. Cocoa got a lot of iron, make you strong like a lion. Cocoa, 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 coconut. Cocoa, cocoa, coconut. Coconut woman, say you agree. Coconut make a very nice candy. You can cook it in the pot. Coconut make you very hot sometimes. Coconut. All right. It always feels different outdoors. Okay, this is a song that I wrote. It's called Words. I wrote it a couple of years ago, but well, you'll see. Da, 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 ba, do, do. Words. Da, 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 ba, do, do. Words. Words show my feelings, words make me blue. Words show expressions, words make me mad too. Words. Words, words, words. Words show expressions, Words give inspiration. Words help me write my songs. Words can hurt you. Words can make you go boo-hoo, boo-hoo. Words. Well, one day I went through my front door. I was walking to the car. I encountered a spider web. It was in my hair, in my face, on my shoulders, on my chest. Oh, I was upset. I said, I have to do something about this. You know, spiders are everywhere, and I love them sometimes. They're all over the house, outside, they come inside, but they're geniuses. You ever look at the way they make their webs? It's amazing. Well, next day, went out the door. There was that web again. It was too late. I already walked into it. In my hair, in my face, on my shoulders, in my chest. So I decided to have a conversation with the spider because, you know, they're God's little creatures. I didn't want to kill it. No way. So I asked for help. Does a spider speak English? What language do they speak? I never heard spiders talking. So I decided to have a conversation in English using words. So I went outside next day. I looked up at the spider. You know, it's one of those crab spiders. They look like a little crab. I said, Mr. Spider, can you move your web a little bit higher? 20 inches? Because when I walk out my door and see you, I get upset. But I don't want to disturb your life. I don't want to take away your web. I know you got to catch spiders and gnats and all the little insects all around. Well, next day, I went out the door and I walked to my car. And then I realized the web wasn't there. So I walked back to see what was going on. Do you know that web was 20 inches higher? Oh, words give inspiration. Words help me write my songs. Words words help you communicate with a spider. Spider words, 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 words. Thank you. Okay, I can do one more. Well, this one is folk songs. I like folk songs, and you know, I have now become a senior citizen. You know, and I enjoy learning new songs, new folk songs. Some of the folk songs are not around anymore. We don't hear them. So this one is called Naughty Little Flea. You ever heard that one? Naughty Little Flea. There was a naughty little flea. He climbed up on Doggy's knee. He climbed up here, he climbed up there. He was climbing everywhere. Tell me, where did the naughty little flea go? Nobody knows, nobody knows. Where did the naughty little flea go? Nobody knows, nobody knows. The naughty flea went to town, started looking up and down, looking for a place to nest where he could find some food and rest. Where did the naughty little flea go? Nobody knows, nobody knows. Where did the naughty little flea go? Nobody knows, nobody knows. He saw a lady round and fat, smiled a smile and picked his hat. He said, oh yes, I'm gonna have a ball. Look at all that cholesterol. Where did the naughty little flea go? Nobody knows, nobody knows. Where did the naughty little flea go? Nobody knows, nobody knows. The naughty flea went to the zoo, saw a skunk and bit him too. Bit him in an unusual place. Great God Almighty, what a taste. Ooh, where did the naughty little flea go? Nobody knows, nobody knows. Where did the naughty little flea go? Nobody knows, nobody knows. To sum up, friends, well, can you see the big adventure of being a flea? Just remember, whatever you do, that what you bite is what you chew. Oh, where did the naughty little flea go? Nobody knows, nobody knows. Where did the naughty little flea go? Nobody knows, nobody knows. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. That's it.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful ambience. Thank you so much again, Sister Lorna. And now, to top that, we have Pablo Black. He's gonna come. Pablo is a musician, extraordinary keyboard, steel drum. He's an arranger, he's a composer, vocalist, and he is an Oriental medical specialist, an herbal medicine man. So he's played with most of the legendary reggae artists, the foundation artists. Speaking of an unsung musician, hero of the Reggae Foundation, Pablo Black. Please welcome him.
Wow. Wow. That's greetings. Can't hear myself too. I like a talking. Blessings. Good to be here with you all on this solemn historic occasion of Juneteenth. It's here up to reflect about all of our people's life when you touch onto those kind of subjects of whole town being wiped out. It's still unbelievable if you didn't know that it really happened. Like how now them taking you into alternate reality that don't believe what you're seeing. You have to really be focused now on the training that you got before, that it can carry you through. Because we are the miracle of the 21st century. From Juneteenth till now, that's 100 years. Just 100 years. It's like a blink. And we're still here. And black people throughout the world are the miracle of the 21st century. So, I'm coming to the steel drum now, which came from Trinidad and Tobago. And when we heard this in Jamaica, it was a garbage pan. And they turned it. It became a steel drum. And playing piano, I wasn't really interested in this till I had friends who played and they introduced it to me, and I realized that it is a scale just like standardized music, because music is pleasing to the ear, soothing to the soul, and it gives you a vision of where you really want to be in your spirit. Because if your spirit is at peace, you're in heaven. Don't wait to go nowhere. Put your spirit at peace. Now, this first song I learned was now in Jamaica, you have Rasta, which is the refuse of society. In Trinidad, the pan man was regarded as the refuse of the society. And in fight through that, struggle through it till it becomes one of the music forms that is one of the highest forms of jazz. This pan. Now, we can't play music from Jamaica and we don't play. Songs like those, and don't worry about a thing on those songs. It's catchy songs, but they have a depth in them that Let them all pass all their dirty remarks. We gone into a different field from just one love. Let's get together to fight this holy Armageddon. So although his music was so attractive to so many people who don't have righteous thoughts really realize that this guy is a danger because he dealing with truth. Rasta. They stone the Rasta, and is the Rasta still telling him about peace and love and truths and rights. Dignity, integrity for the African people, because it's not just Rasta. See me here? If I was following society, I wouldn't be here. Yeah. So I'm glad to give you these renditions because it's songs that have an effect on me, and it keep me more cultural into African roots. Okay, that was after Scatterlights came and introduced us and make us realize that the musicians in Jamaica were world-class musicians already. When I started playing music in the 60s, you had a magazine named Downbeat magazine that had Don Drummond's #3 in the world. Tommy McCook and Roland Alfonso and Lester Sterling were in the top 10. Ernest Ranglin was #5 in Downbeat magazine in the 60s when I growing up. So, although I read Sam Cooke and Otis Redding and them people in America with them killer, I read Max Romeo who say Zion or Rastafari. I read Abyssinians who say Satamasagana. You understand? I'm following the music up. And it encompasses me, and I've seen that I must be glad to be able to give people comfort through the music, and at the same time make them realize that, like how we come together now, the more we can do that is the better for us. Okay, well, the next one was now is in Jamaica, like we're under almond tree or a lignum vitae tree or something, and maybe in St. Thomas, Jamaica, it's funny, in Jamaica have 14 parishes and 7 of them is saint. You never know that. I check things that people don't check, you know. Them job St. Thomas, St. Mary, St. Andrew, St. Anne, St. Elizabeth, St. James. How much that? Huh? 7? Okay. And so the other 7 is what? Sinner? Yeah? But it's growing up in Jamaica, you get these thoughts because it's not Jamaica alone. The majority of the people them in the Caribbean is people who proud of them African roots and try to continue it generation by generation by generation. Because it's we now here up to be grooming the youth them. I remember, you know, say, when everything switch the youth them, right now him say, I don't want my things next week, I want it now. And I don't know, say, crashing or crashing. You understand? And if we can instill that program in them, that them get to know that when you work with things, when you get a reward, you're satisfied inside yourself. So this one is a song which is not a Jamaican song, but it's a song that I love. It's you very much. It's a pleasure to be here with Women IO. You know, women in music, IO. That when I every time I picture that, I think of people like Rebecca Panty and I said, Deo! See? Well, you know, I'm going to still give you. Now, if you notice, it says get up, stand up, and he telling you that he leave from get up, stand up, and he gone to the preacher, which he spoke in another song, say he feel like bombing a church. You know, all those emotions playing out inside of the people who listening to that music, you know. And it's so funny that Bob Marley music was accepted by other people outside of his own people before they realized, say, a boss him boss. Because we love him, you know, because we have one love, we have, you know, misty morning, don't see no sun. Sun is shining, weather is sweet. Not to him talk about the sun, you know, because he spend that time watching the sun come up. Because if you wake up before the sun, you do yourself a good thing every morning you wake. So if you get up before the sun, that means that spiritually, you know, is you bring up the sun, you know. Because it's you. Right now, all of us who stand up here, we represent our people. We represent the creation of life. So, we have to keep trying to put it into as much people as we can, while we can. As I tell you, 100 years is a blink. A blink, it's true. Right? Very good. I give thanks to be here. Next time, if anybody have any special request, I try to find it for you.
So, I have told this story many times, but this story is so real to me that I can never tell it enough. And some people, when I tell it, they say, oh, Baba, not again. You're going to tell a story again? This mic is not even on. Oh, they're recording. Oh, that's what it is. Yeah, you see? I'm complaining already. I'm obnoxious already. Yeah. So this story was given to me by my grandmother. Because we grew up in that age, I'm in my 70s. We grew up in the age where that was the entertainment. Stories. It wasn't TV. It wasn't radio. Electricity was something that you got sometimes. Yeah? So we grew up in that age where we were grateful for little things. Little piece of fruit here. Little piece of banana there. We're so grateful for it. So when things come small, you cherish them. You hold on to them. I had a sister, and if we got a piece of candy, we had a competition of who could hold on to the candy longest. So we could tease the other person. I still got my candy and you don't. That was our form of being grateful. Because we come from a family tradition of trust. I want you to really absorb that word. Trust. We came from a family tradition of trust. We trusted each other emphatically. There was no, well, shall I trust him or shall I not? We trusted in family. We trusted in relatives. We trusted in neighbors. We trusted in the neighborhood. We trusted each other as African people. I come from a place where if you saw another African, whether it be stranger or not, you would acknowledge him or her. They would nod and you would nod. Recognize your struggle, recognize your presence, recognize your being. I trust you, brother. I trust you, sister. Our ancestors came from that. They came from that trust. It was emphatic. It was unspoken word. They changed our genetics when they put us on that ship. When we got off the ship, we were genetically a different people. And then we were taught mistrust. Don't trust him. Why? Because he looks like you. Never trust anybody who looks like you, sounds like you, thinks like you. Don't trust them. And we were given a miseducation to go along with the mistrust. And like my brother Dick Gregory said, we were indoctrinated, not educated. And once we had passed that level of indoctrination, they give you that mistrust paper they call a degree. You have reached a master's degree of mistrust. Here you are, sir. You are now an individual. Enter into the machine, where when you go into the machine, your purpose as an individual is to mistrust everybody. And the more money you make, the more mistrust you must have, until you get so much money that you don't even trust yourself. You can't even look in the mirror and say, I don't trust myself with this kind of money. Boy, black people are famous for that, you know. My father used to say, boy, when black people get money, they get scared. Got money in my pocket, I must go spend it quick. Fast as you can, get rid of this damn money. I can't trust it. I can't trust myself what I'm going to do with it. I might do something crazy with this money. I might do something that is going to pull me down. I might get high. I might go buy something. I might go buy somebody. And we buy the most incredible junk on earth. We are responsible for $72 billion every 12 months. We spend not on ourselves because we don't trust each other. I digress. I don't want to go too long because I'll keep you here for hours. I'm going to get back to the story that my grandmother told me about trust. She said, long ago, far away in your ancestral time, there was a man called Oba. He was a strong, virile man. Lived in the village of Oshogbo. And wherever he went, he would find respect. He would find people looking at him and say, Oba, you have a future. You have a time. You have a purpose. But you must show patience. Now, when you're young, man, that word patience is a dirty word. Patience? I am in my 20s. I'm young. I need what I need now. I need my success now. I need my understandings now. I need my riches now. You know, people tell you that right now, don't they? They need everything now. I'm not going to save up for nothing. I want it now. So he said, where can I find what I need now? Where can I find the answers? And the elders told him, you must climb the mountain, my brother. And on top of this mountain is the elder who will give you the answer to your deed, the answer to your questions, the answer to all the things you need in life. But when you climb the mountain, you must take your time, my brother. You must give respect to the environment around you. Don't rush it. Yeah, right. Whatever. Next day he set out, man. I can make that mountain in one day. Sure. Look at me. I'm Oba. I'm big. I'm Agbada. Pupo going bao dae. Asheo. So he set to climb the mountain. I don't even feel out of breath. I'm climbing and I can see the top. And it's getting dark still. The sun is setting. But he sees the top. And he says, you know what? I can make the top. I can see the top. I can make it in maybe an hour, maybe two. Forward. No worry about rest. Man, I listen to no elders tell me about rest, man. I don't need rest. I'm young. And he's climbing and climbing. And just then, he stands on a rock. The rock slip. And he's falling. He's falling and he's falling and he's falling. As he's falling, the vision of his life goes before him. He sees everything flashing. Oh, why didn't I listen to my elders? Why now is my time to die? As he's rolling and down the mountain. Just then, from nothing, he reaches out and he grabs a small branch. Maybe this big, sticking out the side of the mountain. It stops his fall. He holds onto the branch with one hand. I'm okay. I can hold until somebody help me. I can hold this. And he's holding. And then after a few minutes, he gets to feel the weight of his body. And he reaches up and he looks up and he sees the moon coming. He says, oh, and then he says, help! Nothing. And he feels his hand getting weaker and the blood is draining. He says, oh man, I'm going to die, but I'm too young to die. One hand slips. He's holding with one hand. Help! Just then, he hears a voice. It's a female voice. And the voice says, Oba. Yes? Is there somebody up there? Help me, please. Pull me up. Oba. Yes? Who is it? It is me, Oba. Well, me, pull me up. It is God, Oba. God? God is a woman? Oba, do you need my help? Yes, God, I need your help. I'm falling from this mountain. Please, God, help me up. Oba, do you trust me? Of course I trust you. You're God. Why would I not trust God? You're the only one can help me now. Please, God, pull me up. Oba, yes, God. Let go of the branch. What? And he looks down and there must be 1,000 feet of rock. I don't see no water. There's nobody down there with a cushion. What did you say, God? Oba. Yes, God. Let go of the branch. But God. God, are you? Oba. Do you trust God? Of course I trust God. You're God. But you're telling me to let go of the branch? Do you trust God, Oba? Yes, I told you I trust God. Oh, please, God, help me. Let go of the branch. And Oba, he's thinking what seemed like hours and his fingers are now getting ready to get numb and he can't hold his branch anymore. And he's thinking, and he looks up again. He says, Is there anybody else up there can help me? Trust. Trust. Trust in the God, S, that you came from. Trust in the self that is you, that came from the God, S. Trust in the mother. Trust in the water. Trust in the self that was created by you. That was what your ancestors gave you first day on this earth. You showed trust first day. Your parents pick you up, they handed you to everybody in that village. They all want some of you. You trust them all. You had no mistrust for nobody. Stranger come by, I trust you with my life. You are no stranger. We are connected without being attached. We have come away from that trust as African people. I implore you, before I make my transition, because I'm getting ready to let go of that branch, sisters and brothers. Trust. Trust. I sat on a tree and the tree did bend. That's the way Baba's story ends. Ashe? Ashe.
Thank you so much, Baba. Thank you. He really joined us in this meeting. And we're snapping beans. This is part of what we did when we came together in Mama's kitchen, whether it was beans or rolling dumplings. But SASA African Dance Theater Company also did a piece on snapping beans that will be played now, so the people in cyberspace can see.
Jesus on the main line, tell them what you want. Jesus on the main line, tell them what you want. Jesus on the main line now. Hey. Jesus on the main line now. Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. Jesus on the main line now. If you want your blessing, tell him what you want. If you want your blessing, tell him what you want. If you want your blessing, tell him what you want. Jesus on the main line now. Well, Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. Jesus on the main line, Jesus on the main line, Jesus on the main line now. Well, Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. Jesus on the main line now.
he had to look at his son because okay, SASA complete. Okay, so SASA just played, and I know you love it when you see it. And so Queen Maxine, who's very dedicated, and she could not be here, but she also had a piece with the Kumina. Did Queen Maxine come on online? She's on? She's there? So is she speaking? Yes. Okay. So we still we'll get this as we're learning how to do in my imagination we're gonna have a big screen so that you could see it, but unfortunately that didn't happen. So I wanted to share another thing with you. I my studies have been in education, and I worked with children for like 30 odd years. And it took me back a lot of times. They're always teaching me, bring me back to my childhood and how was I learning and what did we do and what did ancestors bring. So there is a song called Kobali, right? So it goes like this. River to the bank, Kobali, this. River to the bank, Kobali, this. No, no, did they Kobali? No, no, did they Kobali?
Tell me, yeah.
One did they Kobali?
Coming up, another of our retentions, treasure left behind by the ancestors for us. This one predominantly performed in St. Thomas and celebrates life, death, happy births, any occasion that you could think about. We celebrate with Kumina, with the drums. The drums are a part of us. The movement is centered around here, and it actually is inching for the feet, just inching. Now to travel on cover grounds, of course you do other things, and it's done in a circle, generally anti-clockwise. It's also done clockwise. Now, the drums are a part of us. They speak to us, so we need to listen. Phenomenal women in music, women all over, listen to the drums. They speak to your soul. They give you messages from our ancestors. They direct you where to go. Sometimes it's fast and furious, sometimes it's slow and easy. Your heart. You have a drum. We all have drums right here. You listen. Sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's, and it picks up. And you play music. Listen to your heart. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much, Pablo. Thank you. So while all of this was going on, we had Queen Maxine doing the Kumina dance. And now we're feeding generations to come. It's my great pleasure to introduce Krystle Miller. She was at our first Dancing in Mama's Kitchen. She's an up-and-coming poet who desires to be published. And she began writing poetry and short stories as a young child growing up in Miami. Currently, she resides in Pembroke Pines and continues to write poetry in her free time when she's not working as a counselor for older adults who are diagnosed with mental illness. So please welcome Krystle Miller.
Thank you, Ettosi, for having me, and thank you everyone for being here. And thank you for everyone who's watching out in Zoom. This first poem I have is called She's My Mother. It is dedicated to my mom. I wrote it for her for Mother's Day, and I thought it was appropriate since this is Dancing in Mama's Kitchen. And she has fed me physically, emotionally, and spiritually. A goddess she must be. Her eyes beam like the sun. She floats when she enters a room and commands attention with her stare. An angel she definitely is. Her wings spread across a mile. They provide comfort and peace. Her halo never leaves her head. A mountain, that's her. Tall and proud. Everyone is in awe of her beauty, becomes older but never ages. An ocean, that's what I call her. In her deep soul, she holds treasures. She displays grace and wonder. She's also turbulent when the time is needed. She's a goddess, an angel, a mountain, an ocean. She is my mother. Thank you. This second poem is called Ode to the Young Poet. This was inspired by Amanda Gorman, who read her poem, The Hill We Climb, at President Joe Biden's inauguration. And this is also inspired by the next poets, the next generation that's coming out. If we searched for young, gifted, and Black, her image would be visible on the page. She's of a small stature, but her words are large and bold. When she speaks, she uses her hands to choreograph the lyrics dancing through her lips. She's in her early 20s, and I, in my 30s, wants to be gifted like her, be confident like her, speak like her. I'm inspired by her. She's not afraid to own her voice. She's not afraid to write her heart. The first line caught me and I was captive between each word. I pray that she continues to inspire artists who come after her and compose her words as if they were an orchestra, and we continue to be moved by her brilliant poetry. Thank you. And this third one is called Just a Simple Thank You. We have mentors in our life that might come and go, and they're there for a season, but it doesn't mean that their impact on us wasn't powerful. So this is what I wrote for a mentor that was in my life for a good amount of time, but she still remains a powerful part of my life. I'll forever owe you. I don't have anything to give. Just my love, just my life, just a simple thank you. You came into my life like a runaway train. I wish you were here to stay. I learned so much from you. You inspired me to be a better person, a better me, a stronger me. You're like a season, like a spring with butterflies landing softly on petals, then vanishing into the bushes. Like a summer, with the waves dancing in and out of the shore. Like a fall, with brown, red, orange leaves letting go of branches, never to return to their home. Like a winter, with snowflakes jumping from the clouds and then disappearing on the city sidewalk. Like a season, never meant to stay, but you still moved me with your words, your compassion, your dedication. You taught me to move others with my words, my compassion, my determination. You're tall and strong like an oak tree. You don't bend against the challenging wind. I respect you and will forever owe you, but I don't have anything to give. Just a simple thank you. And this is the last poem that I'll read today. It's called My Church. I wrote this, I thought it was appropriate for today since we're all out in nature. And I wrote this when I was on the beach in Hollywood Beach in Florida, and it's called My Church. I'm at church, well, my version of church. God talks to me here. I hear God through the clouds. The seagulls sing this little light of mine to the sunlight as they fly over the congregation. This is my version of church. I don't need to fan myself here. God created a strong, constant wind that twirls around me as I swim in God's holy water. And this holy water goes for miles, and it always blesses me. The waves crashing on the shore deliver the sermons. Never judgmental, never condemning, just hugs me at the right time, whenever I need it. Yes, this is my version of church. Nobody can burn it down. Always here to be admired and appreciated. Everyone, even animals, are accepted. My version of church. I pray here, learn here, even cry here. And when you step onto this church, please respect it. As God has said, and let the animals of the shore teach you, the birds in the sky tell you, and the fish in the sea inform you of the greatness of this creation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Krystle. That's such beautiful, quiet dignity and touching some serious points. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Malachi Smith. Malachi is a boundless energy. He's been my supporter. I've been here for about 30 years, and during that time, he's always been there. But he himself is an internationally acclaimed dub poet and writer, and sometimes he tries to sing. And he's won numerous accolades and has toured the world from Durban, South Africa to Canada and South America. Please welcome Malachi Smith.
My name is broken, so please see with me, right? I'm going to do my best working with it. Yes. First, I must say thank you so much for having me, Ettosi. It's wonderful, and I like when more people can come together. And it's kind of real beautiful. You guys are also, like complementing each other, almost like jazz. Everybody in their own little colors, but so coming together so much like a quilt. Your poetry was awesome. Keep on writing. I'd intended to read too, but I'm just going to perform. I'm kind of feeling that way. So today is officially a national holiday, right? Juneteenth. And it took 2 years after the Declaration of Emancipation was signed for the slaves in Galveston to actually know that they were freed. Well, my poetry group back in the days, I'd written this poem named Write the History Again. I'm going to try and perform it for you. And in fact, the biggest ovation I ever got for that poem was when her brother, the late Cedric Brooks, was at the Jamaica School of Music. And I was saying the poem one night, and he started playing this drum, or beating this drum beneath it, and it basically tore down the place. I ended up recording it, and I've never been able to capture that magic again. Hopefully I can capture a little of that for you. Write the history again. Mr. We now compromise. We no want no friend. Write the history again. Mr. We now compromise. We no want no friend. Write about our brilliant scholars, our doctors, our lawyers. Write about our professors, our heroes, our liberators. Man, write the history again. Mr. We now compromise. We no want no friend. Write the history again. Mr. We now compromise. We no want no friend. Write about our great musicians. Write about a brilliant scientist, and stop talk about black man only can lick fist. Write the history again. Mr. We now compromise. We no want no friend. Write the history again. Write about the slaves in Louisiana. Write about the black man contribution, and write about our invention, our invaluable service to the world nation. Write the history again. Mr. We now compromise. We no want no friend. Write the history again. Write about the emperor of the 20th century, king of King Empire, Haile Selassie. Write about the wisest man, the great King Solomon. Write about the greatest poet. Cut. Check your Bibles. It contains Psalms of David, not the poetry of Shakespeare. Write the history again. Mr. We now compromise. We no want no friend. Write the history again. Write about Marcus Mosiah Garvey, Dr. Martin Luther, Muhammad Ali. Write about Hatshepsut. Write about Teshishiri. Write about Ramesses. Write about Hannibal. Write about Frederick Douglass. Write and don't stop. Write, but don't you forget Peter Tosham. Marley, write the history again. Me say we now compromise, we no want no friend. Write the history again. They don't love us in America, no. They don't love us in Russia, no. They don't love us in England, no. They don't love us in Germany, no. I said to open your eyes, it's time you realize and make we write the history again. We need to write it, right? I said this years ago. I've never said that poem, but you know, needed to say it tonight. I know you're a mental counselor, something like that. So a couple years ago, about 4 years ago, I happened to read at a festival in Jamaica, Talking Trees, and there was this beautiful female when I walk inside. I'm a troublemaker, you know. So I go and I said, "Boy, Empress, can the king sit beside her?" I said, "Oh, sure," you know. So it's, you know, there. So after this, young man comes around and she's like, "Oh, meet Malachi," you know, and we're there. And so months later, she sends me a text and said, "Do you remember this guy?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "Oh, they shot him and killed him." And I said, "What?" You know, well, this kid, very brilliant, went to school in the US and England, taught at Monroe and Hampton high schools in Jamaica, but he was schizophrenic. So he had one son, decided to go look for the son, and somehow he ends up jumping on top of a Brinks. That's the truck that carries the money. And this happened next door to a police station. However, they drove him all the way like 3 miles down the road. The guy stops, orders him down, puts a shotgun in his face and fires it, you know. Even though he was saying like, "I just want to go see my son." So, you know, Novelty recorded this song, and it's like basically celebrating women. But somehow I kept on thinking about that kid, highly clacking. And this is what came out of it in a strange way. "Doctor, this woman in my head dread. Can't sleep at night. She wrap herself tight in there like a bass line with a rhythm as such. She's sweet and fat and hot. She keep on thumping me that, but me no mind. She fine. But she love to play a game. She won't tell me her name. Wrapping her coffee, her leg, her dress between her coffee brown legs, screaming boo boo boom boom, boo boo boom boom, boo boo boom boom, boo boo boom boom. Doctor, you may think say me a idiot. And the gospel truth me I tell. She love to tease me like we are liquor pitney. When we play hide and seek, she touch me sweet, and all kind of things start happening in my sleep, and I remember everything like it happening now. My biggest problem though, Doc, is when I wake up and she gone. And I have to crawl back into my head and I find her on this island with this Adam syrup and tempting her with this devil apple, like the Statue of Emancipation Park. I get so mad, I chop off him head and I wet up the bed and I wake up bawling, boo boo boom boom, boo boo boom boom, boo boo boom boom, boo boo boom. Doctor, you hear it? It loud, boo boo boom boom, boo boo boom boom, boo. It in my heart now. Listen with the trumpet and prescribe medicine quick. Cause me no want to say my mother and care me got Melview and make them operate panel and take her out. Cause doctor, me no want them thief me blessed, me love me boo boo boom boom, boo boo boom boom, boo boo boom boom. So that's what I like a mad for. Now, I love to celebrate my women, right? And you know, sometimes people say, "Oh, you know, leave me alone with my black women," period, right? I love to elevate them. And reason being, again, is Juneteenth. And one of the reasons why we have survived and thrived so well in the West is because of you women. Because trust me, the man them treated the men bad, terribly, right? But the women have a way, as Father Lee would write in the stories, of getting around them. Because they used to love black women, you know, as much as they were so cruel. So the women were very cunning, and they did their little thing to help us survive. And I believe that every day black men are to honor and respect black women. A black man should never put him on a black woman. They have done too much for us. So this like a poem is like a conversation with God. So I go down to Jamaica and I see a fine female, and I'm asking God now. I have to run up to heaven, literally run and say, Father, how did you make her? What is the process? What did you put in? How much melanin? Did you put some chocolate? Did you put some So this is it, right? Jesus being, what a sight to behold. Nubian princess as fine as pure gold. Went down a yard without a plan. Just taking a break from a situation, had no conceived intention until a royal rose apple forced my hand, her royal highness firm in her Nubian skin, standing in her rosemary bush garden, gleaming, whole in the sun in her hair, her glory shining everywhere. Like an African rainbow caressing a mountain peak, had to rise to the occasion before I speak. How you make her, Master God? For this visitation, I am glad. And nothing Megan Vanilla Master God reveal her secrets. I want her bad. I go and paint her across the sky, right below Master God eye, for protection night and day. Keep the predators at bay. How you make her, Master God? Where you put in her, Master God? She had all of Queen Isis' secrets. Athena couldn't match her wits. Dazzled me with her magic wand. Wonder should I dip or should I stand? She calculated me before I spoke. Said her love was no joke. Won't compete with anyone if you are taken. Move along, try to walk away, but my heart was leaving. Put my foot in a gear and my heart starts seizing. Your Highness, I proposed, strip me of my flesh robes, dip me in your mineral springs, wash away my transgressions and sins, close the doors, lock the window. I am committing to you forever. Let me glow like the banks of the Zambezi. Nubian princess, never leave me. Comes what may I do. She said, take my hand. I feel the same way too. I went Peter across the sky, right below, oh, Master God, I, for protection night and day, keep the predators at bay. How you make her, Master God? Where you put in her, Master God, and not Megan Vanilla, Master God? Behave yourself, Malachi. No, another thing that I relish is my Jamaicanness, right? So when we're African, but born in Jamaica, respect that, right? Love it. So one day I'm at work, I came here in 87, I'm working on the Metro Rail, and this fine young doctor is going by, African American, and have a stethoscope over her short neck, and, she has arrived, put it that way. So she walks up to me and she said, I just moved in town. I need some information on the train, so often the train runs, blah, 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 blah. So here you are. I gave her some brochures, So she starts walking away and I said, where are you from? And she said, oh, Baltimore. And I said, why are you lying? So she spun around like a cat, like ready to pounce. And she said, who dare you? Why did you say that? And I said, all that beautiful speech that you made, you were saying the, like THE, and it came out DE. And she said, oh my God, I left Jamaica when I was 2 years old. So there's something very powerful about our tongue, right? One of the things is that it helped us to survive slavery again because we use it as a disguise mode. It was actually a weapon. So our masters didn't know what we're thinking or what we're saying when we're planning our thing. So this little poem is titled My Jamaican Tongue. My Jamaican tongue too sweet for me to throw it away. When you hear me talk and play me, I play. Like my professor friend who got circumcised, dash him Jamaican tongue to get recognized. My tongue is African, Caribbean, jump talk, flute, pan, percussion, banjo, mentos, kia, rock, steady, rasta, reggae, politics, sugar cane, sweat, slavery, blood and pain, blended with English, Chinese, Syrian, Indian. My tongue is out of many one. Nah, dash my tongue. I love it to my heart. Before some go back home because me in our park. It's too sweet like calypso. Your tongue is ballroom dance. For me, I go. I don't have to draw out my vowels like Robin shooting his bow. I make my point, my tongue just flows like note from Dan drum and trombone. I don't envy you for yours, so leave me with my own. You think it's everything I say I want you to understand? My tongue is a disguise, part of my oral tradition. When our ancestors died and couldn't afford to leave legacy, them wrap up them tongue in a tide and pass it on to we. Stop your rank. Your tongue was derived, and so too is mine. If yours is whiskey, mine is pure wine. Harp, rumba, fire, dance, a goat skin. Your tongue is Her Majesty's, mine a fruition thing. So you can cause your innuendos and aspersions. I don't give a damn, because when you hear me talk, you must always hear Jamaican, Caribbean, African, Miss Lou, and Mass Ran. Yeah. You know. May I be political? May I be political? My new album is out. I think I'm gonna end with Blue Morning deliberately. And when you look on the contemporary world space and how cruel mankind is to mankind, this poem is on my Middle Passage album, which is my favorite album, not the bestseller, but the most scholarly of my work. And it was used in a TV documentary, Brooklyn Jihad. So I don't know if you want to look it up online. But again, it's a journey and a conversation with God, whoever you perceive him or conceive him to be. This blue morning caught me climbing halfway up the side of a mountain, on my way to heaven, singing the same blues song, waiting for daylight to come to sit down face to face and have a brain-to-brain talk with Master God at the conference table. I cut a deck of cards, and I props down a yard and I see trouble. I see Bunny Livingstone get stoned. I see bodies sitting on the edge of the edge, just waiting to be pushed over the edge. I see hearts failing as fast as driver's license expire. Undertakers smiling, business looking up higher. I crisscross the globe, trying to ease the load. I look down in the Persian Gulf and I see millions of people chained together dead. Down in the valley of the Nile, I see the dragon of death breathing fire. Oh, I see Armageddon, my brother. I see man a bomb man a missile man a eat man meat, man a drink man blood. I see cruise missiles and scud. I hear a terrible explosion. I see black rain falling from the sky. I hear the scream of babe and suckling as they all perish and die. I race up the mountain, trying to get to heaven. I bawl out, Master God, look down. The same place in the river Jordan that John baptized the only begotten son, them just chop another big bomb. God didn't answer. So I keep on treading and looking. I look down in Central and South America. All I see is the filthy, wealthy, misery, poverty, armies and gorillas grabbing their share of power. In El Salvador, I see gorillas attacking once more. Down in an American chopper with a missile donated by Russia, while all around people live in squalor and babies are dying daily from disease and hunger. I stop to pray. I say, Master God, help mankind today. God didn't answer. So I keep on treading and looking. I look down in the USA and winter race through my mind in Miami condition. Not pretty. Hispanics burn and loot Winwood. Blacks ball out to not just a feel what we have feel long time ago. Noriega in jail can't get bail. Sentence are telling the tale of their tears. Reverend Sims can't preach in peace and in pulpit unless in water down in sermon to suit the old hypocrites. In Jackson Hospital, a poor old sufferer unable to afford surgery for a football-sized tumor passed away, while the nation spend millions bailing out banks every day. In the streets, I see blacks and blacks. Hispanics are counterattack. Whites staring in the mirror asking, do we have anything to do with that? In New York, I see a black mayor. In Virginia, a black governor. So we take one step forward. They look like we end up taking 10 behind, my brother. I start to cry. Oh Lord. Why, Lord? Why we blacks must suffer so? Why when we plant our seeds it's harder to grow? Why when we win we lose? Why we always end up making the eyewitness news? Our Father who art in heaven, can you please remake the world? Our side not even. I keep on treading and looking. I look down in Africa via Haiti and I see man just chop off man, they throw gas pan them and light them a fire while millions stranded at the crossroads and they waiting for a bus to take them across the river. I hear the ghost of grandfather Mandela trying to talk sense in them oppressors. I beg them ragamuffin to hold the strain in order to liberate yourself. You must feel pain. I look to the mountain, the summit out of sight. I whisper a little prayer. I hope I get there before God go to bed tonight. I finally reach. No God, no conference table. Just me alone and my big crocus bag of trouble. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ettosi, for inviting me. This has been magnificent. And thank you, Scott family, for this beautiful backdrop. It is magnificent.
Oh my God.
I am in awe. So thank you all. I don't see either of them around, but thank you for the opportunity. Malachi, you said something. Write the history again. I want you to know that my friend in New Jersey is writing the history curriculum. Yes. So that person is in New Jersey, in Lawnside, New Jersey, part of the Historical Society, and she was chosen along with 5 others to write the curriculum for history. So yeah, it's being done. It's being done as we speak. As I said, a New Jersey, my friend from New Jersey, and that is where I'm from. And if you know about New Jersey, it is considered the Garden State. And growing up, there were lots of farms around our neighborhood. Lots of farms, lots of gardens. Mr. Taylor had a garden 1 door away from us. We used to mess around in Mr. Taylor's garden. He didn't like it too much, but we had lots of gardens in New Jersey. And I want to tell you all a story about picking blackberries, wild blackberries, when we were kids. And my mother would give us permission, me and my sisters, permission to go up on Union Landing Road and pick the wild blackberries. Now, this didn't feel like a chore to us because we knew that once we got home with the blackberries, she was going to make us blackberry dumplings. Anybody know about blackberry dumplings? Blackberry doobie? Yes? Oh, okay. Blackberry dumplings, or my cousins, they liked blueberry dumplings instead. I guess this must be an American thing. All right, but that was a recipe that was passed down from my grandmother to my mother, and then we had the privilege of eating blackberry dumplings. Now, I didn't have a recipe for this blackberry dumpling, so I said, I need to find a recipe. So I called my cousin, and my cousin is a few years, a little bit older than me. And sure enough, she had the family recipe. I was so delighted to know that someone had kept that information. And so the recipe goes like this. You take 4 quarts of
blackberries or blueberries or whatever kind of berries that you like. We like blackberries. And then 1 cup of sugar and 1/2 to 1 cup of water, and you mix this together until it begins to look like a syrup. And then she said, as she was telling me about this recipe, she said, a touch of cinnamon and a touch of nutmeg. And I said, what? A touch? So I imagined that a touch must be you put your finger in the cinnamon and you pinch it like that, and that's your touch. This really indicated to me that this was in fact a very old recipe. But then she said, and a cup of Bisquick. And I said, Bisquick? Well, Bisquick would not be my choice. And being in a gluten-free consciousness, I would consider using a gluten-free flour. All right, a gluten-free flour instead of Bisquick. Now, you may say, well, why gluten-free? Well, because gluten-free has turned out to be a very healthy thing to do for ourselves. It has been researched and known that gluten can be unhealthy for us, and gluten has a protein in it that's very difficult to digest, okay? And it is in lots of things that we like to eat. Things like wheat, rye, barley, and oats. Anybody familiar with being gluten-free in our audience? Okay, Ettosi. And 80% of Black folks have weak acid in their stomach, therefore, very difficult to digest our food, all right? And gluten, having to try to digest gluten now can create inflammation in the body, all right? Inflammation that can create pain. Aside from pain, can also cause health challenges. And we need to be healthy in this day and age. Would you agree? Okay. So what happens is, as you eat these proteins and your body is trying to digest it, it goes through the stomach into the intestines, and in the intestines, there are what we call villi. And the villi look like this. The villi are little fibers that look like a shag rug, and they absorb and digest your food. However, when you eat foods that are not of a gluten product or gluten, that are of is glutinous, now there's difficulty for the villi to break these down. Now the inside of this tissue looks like this. It's round and it's like the inside of a hose. It's smooth. And now when you're eating the food, it just goes through undigested. We need to know how that when we're eating our food, that we're able to absorb it and that we're getting the benefit, the nourishment that we're looking for from our foods. All right? So it is said or researched that when the pandemic was around and still around, and when it was at its worst, Asian people numbers were down, all right? And their numbers were down because of the kinds of foods that they ate. They were eating rice and sweet potatoes and corn. Their numbers were down. Italian people, their numbers were way up. They were eating foods made from wheat products, all right? Wheat, pasta, breads, that sort of thing. Therefore, their numbers were way high, all right? And as you know, our community was highly affected. And we were affected because of what it is that we eat and the fact that we're unable to digest a lot of our food based on eating glutinous food products. I have learned the benefits of being gluten-free. And so I have learned the art, and I found a great pleasure in learning the art of turning something that is my favorite food that may have consisted of wheat into a version that's gluten-free. One of the things that I really love is it's a different version of a blackberry dumpling, because this doesn't have, the dumplings, it doesn't have the wheat, it doesn't have the Bisquick. But this one is called berries and quinoa. How many people are familiar with quinoa? Okay, I love quinoa. And so this particular recipe, you use a half a cup of quinoa, you mix up a cup of milk. Well, the recipe calls for almond milk, but I don't use almond milk, I use hemp milk. Anybody familiar with hemp milk? Okay, y'all might want to try it. I think it has a little more benefit to it than almond milk. And then you take 1 egg, you mix it in there, and you take a half a teaspoon of cinnamon and about a tablespoon of honey. You mix that all together, and then you put that mixture on top of the quinoa. Then you put your berries in, whatever kind of berries that you love. All right, so if you love blackberries, you could use all blackberries, but the recipe calls for a quarter of blueberries, a half a cup of blackberry. Well, it didn't call for blackberries, it called for raspberries, but I use blackberries and a half a cup of strawberries, and you mix that in the mixture. Then you put it in your oven for 50 to 60 minutes. All right, 50 to 60 minutes, and it is delicious. You also want to think about putting something like a dollop of yogurt on top of it, and a few little walnuts or slivered almonds, and maybe some sunflower seeds. What a delight. And so this is something that I eat for breakfast. Now, I don't know if it's supposed to be a dessert or if it's supposed to be a breakfast food. However, I eat it for breakfast. And I also eat it like a dessert when I want something tasty and good to eat. So again, I love the art of learning how to take those foods that I like to eat. Instead of pasta, I use spaghetti squash. How many people are familiar with spaghetti squash? Yeah, I love spaghetti squash. And what about, there's a recipe that I also love. It happens to be brownies. Anybody ever heard of a flourless brownie? Oh, you're frowning your face like, ew, that must be nasty. Well, I want you to know that it is not. And this is how it goes. This particular recipe calls for zucchini. Can you imagine grating up zucchini and almond butter and a banana, I believe, a banana and an egg? All right, you mix this all together. Oh, I forgot the cocoa. You want to put the cocoa in there. I tell you, if I had one here with me today, you wouldn't know that it didn't have flour in it. That's how delicious it is. All right, so I'm enjoying the fact that being gluten-free is fun for me. It's, a little bit of work finding the recipes or looking for the recipes, but I find sheer delight in trying these different
She does like
recipes.
to
And
really
during
cook.
this time
And
of
let me
COVID,
tell you about Sissy.
I was doing a lot of
She's
cooking.
a very good cook.
And so I found out that,
If you had some of
yeah,
her
I'm doing
food,
a
she
lot of
make
cooking. I
everything
need
from
some new
scratch.
cooking utensils because
Everything, and
that's
when
how
you
much
eat it,
cooking I was doing. And so
very,
my
very
message to
cook.
you today is to consider, just consider for 1 week to try to do a gluten-free, have a gluten-free experience. That's what I want to call it, experience, and see what a difference it is for your body. See how your body feels. I'm sure it will thank you for that. And so I do have the recipes. A couple of the recipes are on the site that you can, if you want to try the blackberry dumplings. I don't recommend sugar. I do recommend an alternative sweetener like honey or stevia or something like that. So those recipes, the one for the blackberry dumplings and the one for the quinoa with berries, they're both on the site for you all to explore. So thank you so much for this opportunity, Ettosi, Dr. Ettosi Brooks. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you, Scott family, for allowing us to be here. And one last thing, I do want to recognize Miss Opal Lee, who was tireless in her effort to make sure that we had a national holiday, a federal holiday of Juneteenth. She was tireless in her efforts. She was determined, and she made this happen before she made any transition. So, blessings.
Thank you so much, Verna, and I hope you all try that and try gluten-free. You'll feel so much better. And now we're coming up on the yum yum part of it. We're going to see an actual demonstration by Mrs. Kathy Scott from Gemini Firms, who have been so gracious in allowing us to be here. So, well, Gemini Farms has been here for about 20 years, and it is a beautiful place. We're going to actually see a tour of the farm if anybody here is interested after this. So now I'll turn it over to Mrs. Scott, and she'll explain what she's doing. Please give her a hand.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming out, and thank you for those online that are joining us. Ettosi called me to host this event at the Gardens. I was very excited about it. I wasn't sure what it was about, so I had a million questions for her. But I want to thank you for choosing this location. It mirrors a lot of the things that we heard today. It was very enjoyable, and I welcome everybody that came. I'm very excited about it. She also asked me to tell a little bit about the farm, and secondly, to just demonstrate real quickly some of the things that we cook here. I've been at this location for 25 years, but I really started the garden about 20 years ago, adding a little bit each time. There was nothing here when we moved, but I always loved gardening because of my mother. And in the front of the property, it's more of like a botanical garden with all kinds of different trees and plants from around the world. And I collect things because I feel if I have a tree from Vietnam, or I have a plant from Africa, it brings me that much closer to that country without having to go there, and I can relate to some of the things that the people grow. In the back is the fruit farm, and there we have several, we have about 20 cultivars of mango, different kinds of mangoes that ripen at different times of the season, again, from different parts of the world. And we have various other fruit trees as well. And so for us, growing those things is a source of food. And we have vegetables as well that we grow certain times of the year so that we are more in control of what we're eating. Gardening and growing your own doesn't necessarily mean you need a big plot or a big area to grow. You can get a couple of containers, have it on your patio, have it on your veranda, and you can grow lettuce, you can grow spinaches, you can grow broccoli. And I particularly grow most of my vegetables in containers. It's just easier for me. So I'm going to show you some of the things that I've grown, and we're going to cook it here today, and you'll get to sample it as well. So what I have is the last leaves from the beets that we grew for the season. For those of you who don't know, beet leaves are edible as well as the beets. So you have two different ways that you can prepare it. So I took the beet leaves. I also didn't mention that I started a chicken farm because I want to be able to eat my own eggs. I know what I'm feeding them. Anybody can say anything is organic, but you don't know what that means. So growing your own food, you know what you're feeding it. And raising chickens, you know what you're feeding it. And so when you have fresh eggs every day, it's just a treasure because, they reward you with these really fresh eggs. If you've never had a fresh eggs, it's one of the most delicious things. You don't have to add salt. You don't have to add black pepper. You could eat it just like, after you scramble it or fry it or whatever. So we're going to use that. I also have some plantains. We have several kinds of bananas and plantains. So I took one of those. I'm going to include that in my recipe. And then earlier today, I made a mango salsa, and we have fresh mangoes that is from the fruit farm. Okay. We're going to start with some olive oil and heat that up. We grow our own herbs as well. Again, you only need a small container to grow herbs. If you have a sunny windowsill, you can grow it on the windowsill. So here I have some garlic. You can grow garlic from a clove of garlic that you get at the store. I have parsley, cilantro, and a few others that I just blended up, and that's going to be my seasoning. The other thing I want to mention is I don't like spending hours in the kitchen, so anything that I cook literally takes half an hour and I'm out of the kitchen. So I do a lot of stir fries and different things like that, and from the garden. I'm going to add the beet leaves to that. Again, one of the great things about growing your own is you can invent your own recipes. As Verna was saying, a dash of this, a little bit of a pinch of that, that's how I cook. I don't measure anything, and most times I don't cook the same thing twice because the next recipe I might use something else, and somebody's like, what'd you cook? How'd you do it? I don't remember. If you weren't there, I don't know. Most of the times when you see plantains, you see them fried. In a lot of the restaurants, some people boil them as well, but they're really nice to just mince and add to some of your dishes. Again, inventing your own recipe. There's no rules when it comes to food. It's just really coming up with a way to cook the different things that you like and incorporating it in that meal. A lot of times I'll grind up nuts or raisins or craisins, and I'll add it to a dish like this. To minimize on the use of the oil, you can saute in a small amount of oil and then you just add water and keep adding water, and it's a way of letting it steam cook without having to add, additional oil. And, as my kids were growing up, I got them to eat anything. They ate broccoli, you name it, the things that the kids don't like, I got them to eat it. A lot of times I had them help me with the dish or come up with their own recipe for something they didn't like. And they were excited about it, got them in the kitchen, they would make it, and they enjoyed eating it. And it's something that they really would just, not be interested in if you put it in front of them. Another thing that I find is when I cook things from my garden, for some reason, I eat less of it. I don't know why. It seems to fill you up more, but it does me. On some of the recipes, you can add your own sauce. You can add soy sauce or one of your favorite sauces. I have a mushroom sauce here, an Asian mushroom sauce, so I'm gonna add that to it. Just to add additional flavor. When you cook, you control the amount of salt, you control the amount of oil, which oil that you use. Sometimes I will use coconut oil. We have a lot of coconuts on the property. So there are ways that they show you online that you can extract coconut oil from your own coconuts. And again, it's just a way of knowing exactly what you're eating because you're making it. And these containers, even though they have a sign that says Albertsons, I have friends that literally just donate these to me because I sell eggs, so they always bring back the containers. They're not from Albertsons. They are fresh eggs. And depending on the breed of chicken, they would lay different color eggs. Some chickens, I don't have those, but some chickens lay green eggs, blue eggs. Most of mine are actually pink, brown. Some are pink, have a pinkish tone. Some, these are 2 brown eggs, and you could see that they're different colors. And that but once you get to know the chickens, you know which one lays which egg. One chicken lays 1 egg. One hen will lay 1 egg. And depending on the diet, they lay more in the spring and the summer, and they're a little less in the winter because that's when they molt, they change feathers. But I supplement with oyster shells, which helps the calcium in the making of the egg. And you learn a lot of weird things when you own chicken. I learned that the rooster teaches the chicken how to lay the egg. And it's the most amazing thing to see the rooster literally call the new hen over and stoops down and shows this hen. And I'm like, you're not supposed to do that. You're not laying this egg. And stoops down and shows and demonstrates to the hen. And then he'll call another one, and that one will leave, and another one would come over. And the first time I saw it, I was like, what's going on? but they teach the hens. And then he'll communicate with her, and you'll see her go in, and she'll sit in the box. And when she's done, she has to let him know she's done. It's things you learn in the chicken world. It's funny. I just don't know about men teaching women how to birth babies, but okay, so I'm gonna add the egg to that. And then when you're done with this, you can add, a starch if you want. You can eat it like this. You can add the quinoa, as Verna mentioned earlier. You can add toast, serve it on toast, serve it on rice, whatever, you're liking. Any questions about anything concerning cooking and growing your own food and things like that? I have grown turnips in the past, yes. I haven't eaten yes, I have. Turnip greens, yeah. Yeah, not, sometimes it's what you learn, and sometimes, you're told not to eat a certain thing. What I've found that many of the weeds in the garden are edible. Would I eat it? I don't know. But dollar weed, a very common weed in the garden, is an edible weed, and there are many others that are eaten. So it's just a matter of what you were exposed to and things like that. But yeah, I've, I've and for those of you who don't grow vegetables, our main growing season is during the winter, not the summer. So don't go out and buy tomatoes from Home Depot in June. You're not gonna get any tomatoes. We start growing in the cooler months, opposite to what the rest of the country is doing here in South Florida.
What are your pollinators?
So I have everything that you can think of come through the garden. The other night I saw a screech owl, and I didn't know that they were down this far. I thought they were more from up north or northern Florida. And so that we have a lot of the ground owls here, the ones that burrow and have their nest in the ground. But that's the first time I've seen a screech owl. I've had a swan come through. I've had cranes, egrets, all kinds of snakes. No alligators yet, thank God. But I don't kill anything in my garden, because if there's an owl, it's because there's a snake, and he'll take care of that. And I totally learned to respect the things that I see and leave them alone. Even if I'm afraid of it, it's not for me to just say, oh, I don't like how it looks, things like that. Moths, I leave them, they pollinate at night. Butterflies, caterpillars, a lot of people are afraid of them, but they're there for a reason. And if you're messing with the balance of nature, you're gonna see changes in your yard. And another thing, sometimes there are certain things that are introduced, pests that are introduced And a fellow told me once, rather than try and, use pesticides and these different things, leave it, because nature balances itself. And I've noticed that every day. Nature. Well, the mosquitoes are they were here before we were. They're here. Those are more annoying, but luckily we don't have a lot in Broward. They're in Palm Beach a lot, and some people have them in Broward. They're locusts, basically, and they're very pesty. And because they swarm in, that's a different situation than if you run across some things in your garden here and there. A lot of people, again, are afraid of the outside. Well, they were here first, and you're in their home. So you got to kind of either leave them, even if it's a snake. I run across snakes all the time. I go this way, they go that way, everybody's happy, But you try to respect things, and they're not there for us just to kill because we saw them. I have people that want me to kill my lizards, and I'm like, no, no, I'm not doing that. So just respecting nature. All types of lizards. You name it, I got it. I have lizards that shouldn't even be here. They were somebody's pet, and they let them out, and now they're naturalizing, and they're all over the place. I haven't seen that, but I've seen other non-natives, which is a problem because, again, it throws off the balance, of what's supposed to be here in Florida and what's not. So. Yeah, I've heard that they are here. I haven't seen any, but I've seen some really new, and every year I see new things. Some things that I saw like 10 years ago, I don't see anymore. So we're gonna serve this on some corn tortillas. I'm sorry, Verna, I'm using corn tortillas today because I just love them. Okay, and what you would do is just put some on the, oops. And then put a little mango salsa. And there you go. Simple, easy. 2 of those for me is very filling, like I said, and it's very easy. And that's it. Any other questions? You're welcome to come up and try them. Sherry, can you get her a utensil? You can use anything. You can use, substitute, whatever you want.
Welcome to Gemini Gardens. Our subtropical garden is always evolving. We love the wildlife that visit, the garden decor, the pond, and the rewarding plants. Come with us on this journey to see how we give to our garden and our garden gives to us. Gemini Garden is a 20-year-old labor of love. It's named for the birth sign of the owner's late mother, Rita, who was responsible for Kathy's love of gardening. Full of all kinds of tropicals, including palms, aroids, rare flowering trees, shrubs and fruits, making it a perfect visit for wildlife. We have secluded areas for sitting, meditating and enjoying nature. Our winding pathways always lead to little surprises. Many of the garden decor are handmade by us or found treasures on our travels. plants enjoy keeping us cool on hot summer days. As you enter our rare garden, you will encounter our bountiful fruit trees and vegetable garden. Gemini Gardens does seasonal fruit shipping throughout the US. We have 40 mango trees and 20 cultivars of mangoes. We also sell fruits locally, including jackfruits, June plums, and many others. Also in our rare garden hosts getaway areas such as our Moroccan-themed cabana, where you can escape the stresses of life. Wind chimes around the garden help in this escape. In our shade house, we prepare a variety of rare tropicals to sell locally or shipped around the US. Our garden would not be complete without our chicken farm. Our chickens provide us with fresh eggs daily. We supplement the chicken grain with food grown in the garden. Smaller shade houses harbor rare plants collected around the world. Our greatest enjoyment is our woman-made pond, which was designed and built by the owner, Kathy, herself. After having a company extract 3 truckloads of soils, she embarked on designing the pond, which holds fishes and water plants. But most importantly, it is a brief stop for all kinds of wildlife, the most memorable being a white migrating swan that visited and stayed 3 days. At Gemini Gardens, we strive to be one with nature. We grow many of the foods that we eat. We avoid using chemicals. We provide habitats for wildlife, and we respect the animal life that visit as not to disturb the balance of nature. We appreciate the circle of life.
Okay. Yes, you have to.
I always say I'm going to farm.
Mhm.
It's crazy, right?
I'm going to close out now. Mhm. Thank you so much for joining us. We had a wonderful time, and I hope you did too. We're still eating and enjoying. I wish you were here. And I would also like to give thanks to the Broward Cultural Division for supporting this project. Softtech Solutions, these are the people behind the tech and what you're seeing on the screen. Sister Sheila and Stax, I thank you so much for all the work you put in, all those videos you saw. That's wonderful work that they've done. Gemini Farms for hosting us. I hope you support Gemini Farms, look them up. Thank you and enjoy your evening. Ashe, goodbye.